So just so everybody knows, normally when I film, I use my iPad because I'm broke and I don't have a camera. And I always film with the front-facing camera so I can see myself. But today I flipped it around in hopes of getting a higher quality. So if I'm like out of frame, I can't tell. So I'm pretty much just like eyeballing it. Get it? Eyeball. Ow. Every video. Anyway, sup? Hey, what up, I'm Miles, and welcome back. And in this video, we're doing something a little bit special. We're doing kind of a throwback and also like a revive special, if that makes any sense. Now, true and honest OG viewers of this channel will know that some of the first videos I ever made were like video essay style videos. It was kind of what I was going for when I started YouTube until I sort of found my flow. And some of the videos that I made early on were top 5 videos about Spider-Man stuff and Star Wars stuff, so on and so forth. And I didn't want to let that idea die because I still really do like the idea of making top 5 videos and kind of going more into depth about topics like that, about video essays, about all that stuff, right? So this video is going to be the first of hopefully a series of top 5 videos about a multitude of topics, but of course starting with our favorite character on this channel, Spider-Man. Now, this video is pretty much going to be a one-to-one copy of a video I made years ago. I'm going to be going over the top 5 homemade Spider-Man suits. And before somebody in my comments says that I'm just milking my content and remaking videos, that is absolutely exactly what I am doing. I am remaking the exact same video and milking it for content. At least I'm honest about it. But in all seriousness, I feel as though I can make the video a lot better now, and I have a larger community in which I can share that video to and take your guys' opinions down below for what top 5s you want to see. So without further ado, and with that ridiculously long intro out of the way, let's get into it. Spider-Man is a character that has a huge variety of suits. Pretty much every iteration we look at Spider-Man, he has a different suit, whether it's Peter Parker, Miles Morales, Ben Reilly, Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, Spider-Noir, Miguel O'Hara. All of the different Spider people all have different suits, and they all have a ridiculous amount of costume choices, and it makes very little sense given the fact that they're supposed to be broke, right? I would know. I'm broke, and most of my Spider-Man suits have holes in them, so... However, throughout every single iteration and variation of the character, regardless of what suit they wear, they always start off with a different suit. A homemade suit when they first get their powers. They don't start off with this grandiose suit. They don't start off with this amazingly built suit. They start off with something that looks like you just grabbed a bunch of spare parts from your closet, hot glued it together, and went out with a wing and a prayer hoping that it stayed. And those are sometimes the best Spider-Man suits of all time because it shows the ingenuity and creativity of the maker. So in this video, I'm going to be going over my top 5 homemade Spider-Man suit designs and ranking them on this list and seeing what happens. Again, if you kind of saw the video that I made like 2 years ago, you know the list, but don't spoil it. Like, don't be that guy. Like, just say, oh, I saw the video, but don't spoil it. Like, I'm trying something here. Starting off our list in the number 5 spot, we have the homemade suit from the Amazing Spider-Man 1. Now, I'll be honest, this suit is not much to look at. It's not really anything at all. It's normal jeans, a hoodie, a red ski mask, sunglasses, and a beanie. It kind of looks like oh my god, am I allowed to swear on my own channel? I think I am. I own the channel, so. When we described homemade suits earlier, we said it looks like you grabbed anything you could out of your closet, put it on, and just ran out. And that is exactly what this suit does. It quite literally looks like Peter ran into his closet, grabbed anything he could that fit, that covered his entire body so you couldn't tell anything about him, and he went out to go fight crime. However, with that being said, the suit doesn't look the best. And you know, that's on purpose, so we're gonna give it some points for that and give it a little bit of cred there. The suit is not meant to be great. It's not meant to be grandiose. It's not meant to be the best thing in the world. It's meant to be exactly what you said it is. You grabbed some spare clothes, put on a mask, and you went out to fight crime. That's exactly what this suit does, and it nails it in that perspective. However, it would be shameful of me to say that this suit is on any level technically impressive, because it's not. And again, that wasn't the point. It's kind of boring and only has a couple pieces to make it work. However, where this suit does earn points back is in its realism factor. I've always said that the Amazing Spider-Man movies, at least the first one, prides itself on reality and kind of grounds itself into being a more realistic interpretation of the Spider-Man character. Or at least as realistic as you can get for a guy who climbs on walls and like shoots stuff. These movies definitely have a darker, more grounded, realistic tone, and that is shown through with the homemade Spider-Man suit as well. It looks very realistic, and it looks like something pretty much any one of us could make. This comes in at number 5 because it shows that anybody can make this suit, which is exactly what you need to be doing when you're making a homemade suit. So Amazing Spider-Man, your homemade suit is coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have the homemade suit skin from the Miles Morales PS5 video game. This suit kind of comes right out of left field and isn't one that you would immediately think of when you think of the homemade suits, and it's very interesting. Looking at the suit overall, it kind of hits the perfect balance between Spider-Man and homemade. Again, it kind of fits into that category of it looks like you just ran into the back of your closet, threw on some random clothes, and went out to fight crime. The only difference with this one that bumps it up a little bit higher on the list is it has a little bit more variation to it and a couple different things on the suit that bring up the style aspect. First of all, we have the custom painted spider on the red and white hoodie. When it comes to homemade Spider-Man suits, any sort of homemade graffiti or painted on spider emblem, this automatically will put it a little bit higher. This suit also has certain aspects of Miles Morales' character and his style that show through, such as the Timbs and the jeans on the bottom, which is something that he would absolutely wear in his normal day-to-day life. And of course, the last thing I have to point out is the color scheme of the suit. It of course follows a red, black, and white color scheme, which is of course the color scheme that Miles Morales follows in his suit that he makes later in the game. It's just a nice little touch and a nice homage to the suit that he will later make in the game, and a couple different elements in that suit that kind of bring out different aspects of his character that I really like. It kind of follows the same mask style of the Amazing Spider-Man, of it's a normal ski mask with glasses tucked in, which is not necessarily a design option that I love, but hey, it makes sense, and you know, it's a choice. It's something. I think if I were to change anything about the suit, I would just change the sleeves from being white to black. I think that would fit the color scheme a little bit better. But again, I didn't design the suit, and it comes in at number 4 on this list. A little bit higher than Amazing Spider-Man. Coming in the middle of our list at number 3, we have another Miles Morales suit, and this one actually comes from Into the Spider-Verse. And while a lot of people might not qualify this suit as a homemade Spider-Man suit, I would, and I'll explain why. This suit is the one that he buys from Stan Lee in the Halloween store after he gets his powers in Into the Spider-Verse. It's of course the suit that doesn't fit and looks really wonky. Now, why would people say that this isn't a homemade Spider-Man suit? Well, plain and simple, he did not make the suit. He didn't craft the suit. He didn't put on anything he could. Just went to a normal Halloween store, put on a suit that he bought that didn't fit, and pretended to be Spider-Man because he had powers. And a lot of people will immediately discredit the suit because of course he didn't make it. But the reason that I would qualify this as a homemade Spider-Man suit is because this is the suit that Miles Morales started in. In this iteration of the character in the Into the Spider-Verse universe, this is the suit that he started in. This is the suit that he first put on to become Spider-Man, or at least try to become Spider-Man. However, the problem with that is the fact that he put on Peter Parker's old Spider-Man suit, not his own. And of course, one of the big aspects of that movie is the fact that Miles needs to learn how to be his own person, be his own character, which is why in the end, he makes his new suit by spray painting over one of Peter's old suits, and of course becoming his own Spider-Man. The reason that I kind of classify this as a homemade suit is of course because he uses it when he starts as Spider-Man, and it also goes really far into depth in explaining the turmoil of his character, and kind of the struggle that he's going with of trying to be Peter Parker Spider-Man until he becomes his own. Now, I know there's going to be that one guy out there that tries to argue that, oh, the Leap of Faith suit technically is a homemade suit too because he spray painted the suit and he made it by his own. Like, that technically counts too, right? And to that one guy, I say, I don't know what I'll say. I mean, technically you're right, he did make it, but he kind of just spray painted over one of Peter's already pre-made suits, so does that really count? I don't know. Leave a comment down below, does that count? Coming in, where's the camera? There it is. Coming in at our number 2 spot, our runner-up. This is the one that a lot of people would probably want to be number 1. Coming in at number 2 is Tobey Maguire's The Human Spider from the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man. This suit is probably the most apt definition of the word iconic. If you think of the 2000s and the nostalgia that follows with that, there's probably 2 things that come to mind. The first is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man suit, and the second is the Human Spider suit that you saw like 20 minutes before. Both of these suits just scream nostalgia and just scream iconic, and I absolutely love them so much. When it comes to the Human Spider suit, this is what I imagine when I think of a homemade Spider-Man suit. It absolutely looks like some teenage kid just grabbed any clothes that he could, spray painted on a spider emblem, threw a mask on, and went to earn a little bit of cash. And something I love so much about this suit is he doesn't actually use it to fight crime. This is literally just his wrestler suit that he uses at the beginning of the movie to earn a little bit of bread to get a car to impress Mary Jane. And I honestly think I would love to see this suit in action and see him actually fighting crime in this suit. I think it would be really cool if the movie gave us a little segment of him doing that, but obviously the movie was like 20 years ago, so it's pointless for me to say stuff like that, but it would be cool. Anyway, this suit is bare bones down to the basics. It's a pair of blue sweats, red Adidas wrestling gloves, a red hoodie with a painted spider on it, and of course the red ski mask. Nothing covering his eyes, and I think that's actually a really important factor of it because Tobey's really good at showing the emotion through his eyes, especially in these scenes. Aside from being super iconic, the thing that puts this suit so high on the list is just how simple it is, but how effective it is at getting the goal across. I know I said how the Amazing Spider-Man homemade suit grounds itself in realism and is really good at being a more grounded approach. However, I can absolutely see the same exact argument for this suit as well. Seeing the argument that this is a pretty realistic suit that anybody could make, because looking at it, I can see all of these pieces you could probably find at a thrift store, you could probably find at your local store, and you could probably make this entire suit in a night on a budget of like 50 bucks or less. And I think when you're going to ranking all these homemade suits, that's a pretty good qualification to put it at number 2. It also just looks really cool. Coming in at number 1, the number 1 spot. Again, if you saw the previous video, you know what it is, you know what the answer is, and most people who've seen all the Spider-Man movies know what the best one is. It is Tom Holland's homemade suit from Homecoming / Civil War / the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This suit is absolute perfection. It is phenomenal at doing everything it needs to do perfectly right. It fits the category of being a cheap homemade suit. It's literally just a sweatsuit. It's a pair of sweatpants and a sweater with a sleeveless hoodie on top, fingerless gloves, crappy shoes, and homemade web shooters. That's the biggest kicker right here, is the homemade web shooters. Technically, yes, I know, both number 5 and number 4 had homemade web shooters as well, but these ones look homemade. These ones look junky. It looks like he went into the dumpster of a Radio Shack and just built web shooters in an afternoon. And I love it. I love how gritty this suit is. This suit does something super cool and rare that not a lot of costume concepts are able to do. It manages to look super rough and gritty while also looking very like clean and comic-like at the exact same time. It's rough and gritty in the sense that it looks like you just put it together in an afternoon. You grabbed your old sweats, you painted on a spider, and of course your junky ass web shooters that look like they weigh 30 pounds each. But it's also clean and crisp because of the vibrant colors, because of the very clean break between the two colors. And of course, the overall aesthetic of the suit itself looks very pleasing. The suit is very simple. Again, like I said, it's a sweatsuit with a sleeveless hoodie on top, a mask and goggles, web shooters, gloves, and shoes. It's nothing super special, but it looks like a teenager could make it, especially one that doesn't have a budget but has a lot of creativity. I also really love the idea and the special touch of his goggles and the fact that his sensors are dialed up so high that he has to wear those to kind of dial them back to actually focus. And of course, the best part about it is the fact that he made all of this stuff himself. In number 5, 4, 3, and 2, technically the character did make it themselves, and yes, you're right, but the thing that makes this suit and like that particular aspect of this suit a little bit better in this specific situation is the fact that it's a little bit more believable that this version of Peter made these things. Now, I'm not saying that the Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield Peters aren't geniuses. I'm not saying either of the Mileses aren't geniuses. We're showing on multiple occasions that they are. However, in this specific universe, I feel as though that we are given the legwork to show that Peter built these things. We go into his room and we see all of the dumpster diving equipment that he has. We see all of the kit bashing stuff that he has. We see that he's constantly crafting, he's constantly making gadgets, he's constantly fiddling with things and making his own web fluid and all that stuff. So it goes a little bit farther into adding that believability into making those goggles, into making those web shooters, into making all of that stuff. And yes, of course, I'm going to point out the fact that Andrew Garfield made like the web shooters in his garage. Yes, that happened. I'm not gonna ignore that. I honestly just like, as I was explaining that about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I remember that scene and I was like, oh damn, I'm kind of a hypocrite, so I should probably point that out. Yeah, I mean, the main reason it's number 1 is because it's my favorite. It looks the best. It's the cleanest. It looks cool. I want to do a cosplay of that one day. And I think it's the best one. Overall, I think it nails it on the technical standpoint, and it does what it needs to on a conceptual standpoint. So, number 1 for the homemade Spider-Man suits on our top 5 list goes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Tom Holland Spider-Man homemade suit. Hey, it's future Miles. The video's not over because I'm dumb. So it's like the day after filming that video, and I'm in the editing process right now. I just remembered there's another homemade suit that like recently came out that absolutely should be on this list and probably even be the number 1 spot, and the fact that I didn't say it is blowing my mind right now. It's the homemade suit from the new animated series Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man that recently dropped on Disney+. And yes, if you've seen this suit, it looks absolutely gorgeous and probably takes the top spot. So, instead of saying that Miles messed up this video and he didn't plan properly and, you know, he was just copying his old video and didn't script it, because that's exactly what happened, instead of saying that, we're just gonna make this a top 6 list and give the actual number 1 spot to the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man homemade suit and bump every other suit one more farther down the list. So, basically, the order it was is now that order. order. Let this be a lesson to everybody. If you're gonna copy your old videos, at the very least, make sure you do it the right way, because that was like a fail in real time. But by the way, I do have prints of the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man suit on my Etsy if you want to check that out, because I am also an illustrator. And I have a bunch of Spider-Man prints. Anyway, yeah, I failed, but bye! So, that's going to wrap it for the end of this video of the first ever installment of remaking my top 5 videos, and then, of course, hopefully moving into a new series that we have. So, obviously, let me know down below if you vibe with videos like this. Obviously, there is a difference between this video and the last one. The last one was scripted, I was reading off of a script. This time I was kind of just riffing. I was just right in front of a camera and just explaining how I felt about these suits with zero script and zero preparation, and I think I like that a little bit more, because I'm able to talk about the suits more naturally. And then I accidentally say something stupid and I have to like circle back on it, so that's fun. Anyway, let me know down below a couple things. If you vibe with these videos, if you agree with my list, if you don't, what's your list? I would love to hear it. All of those things down below. And of course, as always, thank you so much for watching. Peace and love, do good things, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.
Yeah, Spider-Man!